all you cinema buffs out there. Welcome to our halfway mark best worst of 2018. So we're just going to go do a little recap of what our favorites and least favorites were of 2018 so far, and that's just through the month of June.
Right. I'm not going to dump on Skyscraper again as much as I want to.
Now, we'll wait for the second half of the year for that one. So let's start with the good here, of course. Let's lead on a positive note. Let's talk about some of the movies and then give us your favorite movies so far of this year.
Yeah, when I was compiling like my good movies, bad movies to pick my best and worst, I was surprised. There have been a lot of good movies. 2018's been a pretty good year so far for movies. I mean, Incredibles 2, totally worth the 14-year wait, and there's some good surprises like Upgrade and A Quiet Place and Game Night. Like, all those movies were far better than I expected them to be. Yeah. And, you know, the technical masterpiece of stop-motion animation that was Isle of Dogs this year. Just fantastic. But I gotta say, my favorite is one of the first movies I saw this year, and that's Black Panther.
Yeah.
I think that it didn't like really break the mold for a Marvel movie, but I think it upgraded it and like just, you know, elevated the material. And when you have a great director like Ryan Coogler taking on something like this, where he was very insistent about putting his own style, his own people into this, you know, as far as his crew and the actors that he's worked with. And so I just like that Marvel has finally learned their lesson to where they're like, let the filmmakers make their movie. Wish they would have did it a few years ago with Edgar Wright and Ant-Man, but I'm glad they're doing it now with directors like Ryan Coogler and even Taika Waititi last year with Thor Ragnarok.
Sure, yeah, no, I think so too. With Black Panther, I liked it because it was a contained story. It didn't really need to be related to the entire Marvel universe.
Right.
If you didn't want to, you sit it down. And one of the rare times they got the villain right.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that is a really, really great movie.
Well, what about you? What did you like, and what was your top?
Well, going into the theme of Marvel, I really was pleased with Infinity War. Really enjoyed my time. That was one of my favorite movie experiences I've had in recent memory of just like, what a big movie. So I really liked that one. The Incredibles 2, got to put a shout out for that as well. I wasn't looking forward to it as much as you were, but I was incredibly pleased with the result in the end. Isle of Dogs was the only 10 I've given, I think, maybe ever. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, but for me, there's a couple standouts I want to mention that we didn't review, and one of them is Annihilation. We didn't get to review that one, but man, I saw this recently, and this was just a real, just like, it messes with your mind. It's a real deep movie. You've yet to see it, but I do recommend Annihilation. I did a written review on the website, so go check it out if you want my detailed thoughts. But my number one is Hereditary. And you and I went and saw that with a friend, and this movie stuck with me for weeks. This was a very, very scary, very deep, very grief-riddled movie. And me being such a big horror buff, I was just really, really blown away by this movie. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, this definitely made my list of good movies. I didn't mention it because I had a feeling that this was going to be the top choice for you. Yeah, definitely. Just it's great that when a horror movie, it's its scariest in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what really set it apart for me, where it's just this creepy, it's this tension building, it's stretching the rubber band as far as it can until it snaps.
Yeah.
And I think that it executes perfectly. Great acting. And speaking of great acting, you know, we've had some great directing, great technical aspects.
Yeah.
From what we've seen of the first half of this year, is there anything that you think is like Oscar worthy? See, usually the Oscar movies fall in the later half of the year.
Sure, yeah.
But is there anything that we've gotten in the first half that you think is potentially an Oscar nominee?
If they could nominate Toni Collette for Hereditary, I think that would be a big step for the Oscars in the right direction of like this genre type movie.
Being more inclusive of those type movies.
You can't deny her performance in this movie. Like, her range is everywhere. It's absolutely fantastic. So I think it would be nice to see her nominated. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. No. But I do think it's going to be a neck and neck best animated feature for Isle of Dogs and Incredibles 2. I think those are just going to be clashing big time.
I think that's the flip of the coin for that.
What about you?
Well, speaking of Isle of Dogs, I do think it will. I think it's almost guaranteed a Best Animated Feature nominee, if not the win at this point. It
should get the win.
But I think that Wes Anderson deserves to be the first director to be nominated for Best Director for an animated movie.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like, what he did with this movie, I mean, not only just the technical aspects that are just mind-blowingly good, you know, the character development, screenplay will probably be what he gets instead of a director nomination.
Yeah.
But just the characters, like we said in our review, I mean, we gushed over this movie, you know, for a few minutes.
Yeah.
But just, you know, how I was able to connect with these dog stop motion animated characters more than I've been able to connect with most human live actor characters in most of the movies we've seen this year. I think It's a true feat, and I think that he needs to be individually recognized as a director for it with a Best Director nomination.
I agree.
I think that's totally deserving just as much as Toni Collette for a Best
Will
Actress
those two
nom.
things happen? Hard
We'll
to say.
see.
Yeah,
We'll find out next
yeah,
January.
we'll hope so.
But we still have a whole slate of movies coming out, for
Mm-hmm.
the rest of this year. But, looking at the second half this year, what are you excited for? What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm pretty excited about Halloween. I know
Yeah.
you have your reservations a little bit about it, but like I'm
still excited for it. though.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Halloween. I just want to see Michael Myers. Hopefully, it's back into like the full form. Also, the Sisters Brothers. I just saw a trailer for,
That looks interesting.
and it looks really good. I mean, the cast.
Oh, the
looks
cast looks phenomenal.
top down, and I'm looking forward to a western. Like give me a western, at least one or two a year. I like westerns, so like keep them coming. I think people are a little afraid because of not making any money off of westerns, but I always enjoy a nice western, so I'm excited for that one. And the Predator. Can't wait.
Yeah, Shane Black. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
Shane Black, Predator. What about you?
Yeah, Halloween's up there. And speaking of John C. Reilly, there's this film that people haven't heard about, and I get it. They haven't advertised it or put a trailer out for it, but it's supposed to come out in November, and it's called Holmes and Watson. And it's a comedic take on Sherlock Holmes and Watson with John C. Reilly playing Watson and Will Ferrell playing Sherlock Holmes. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Is it going to be set in like the Victorian era? Is it going to be more modern? It's going to be in the future. Who knows what it's
That's
going to
going to be 2018?
Yes, it's supposed to come out. I'm really hoping that it does. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And also I'm looking forward to Aquaman. I really liked what Jason Momoa brought to the table in Justice League last year. And
Yeah,
especially
James
with
Wan behind it.
James Wan. He showed with Furious 7 that he can handle an action movie.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But I got to go back to one of my favorite directors and one of the big influences and inspirations for me, Robert Rodriguez with Alita: Battle Angel. I know that
James
trailer.
Cameron teaming up?
Yeah, I know that trailer looks rough on the CGI, but that trailer came out months ago, and the movie's still months away.
They got
so
some time.
They got time to clean it up, but I just like to see Robert Rodriguez making a feature film again.
Yeah, me too. And even with the rough look of it, it still looks very intriguing to me. Like, it still got me excited for the movie.
Yeah, and hoping, because it's Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron, maybe a hard R action movie.
For sure.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think Robert Rodriguez will push for a hard R. He always tries to when it comes to his more adult-oriented theme movies. So,
Yeah.
let's flip the coin to just the bad stuff. Let's get the stinkers out of the way now. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
let's talk about.
it's been a
what we
good
didn't
year,
like.
but not everything's been gold.
No.
I found this year to be very like middle of the road. A lot of just like 7.5s.
It was a 7.5 kind
It was
of
a
year.
7.5. But let's talk about the bad. What movies are you like? Just stay away. If you haven't seen them, don't watch them.
The Cloverfield Paradox. But it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to put that in this conversation because I feel like that's kind of on par with the rest of Netflix movies.
Yeah,
It'd be a
that's-
challenge to think of my favorite Netflix original movie, what I think is the best. Like maybe the Doug Kenny. I can't remember the name of the movie that we reviewed earlier this year with Will Forte. Maybe that
Oh
movie.
yeah. That was all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that was pretty good.
was good.
But I just think that there's such a low bar for Netflix movies. It's like, sure, Cloverfield Paradox is in there only because it was hyped up and advertised. There was a Super Bowl ad for it.
I mean, it's quantity over quality right now with Netflix, unfortunately, and they're just putting out too much content. And just, I agree with you, the Cloverfield Paradox. What a letdown, because I like the other two Cloverfield movies.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, but also like to go with that Kodachrome, man. The movie
Yeah.
was not good, and it had such a good cast behind it.
Yeah.
It had just a good team in general behind it, and once again, like I hate to put two on my list of bad this year, but like a lot of people are getting their movies through Netflix now, and that's too bad because there's not a lot of good stuff out there anymore.
Right, and with Kodachrome, I think that for the cast and the team they had assembled for that, for it to turn out just to be like a meh kind of movie is very disappointing.
So generic.
And of course, A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, that's my number
was-
one horrible movie so far.
That's
this
your
year.
worst? Oh, all right. Well, let's talk about that before we get into mine.
I mean, if you want to really know what we think, you can watch the review, but A Wrinkle in Time was a complete missed opportunity. I've never read the book, but man, they had such a great cast behind this. They had a great director behind this. They
Yeah.
had Disney behind this. And then they just sort of dropped the ball, and I hear a lot of reasons for it. I hear that the source material alone is just not that good of a book. Or it just does, it's very, you just can't adapt it, you know?
Yeah, I heard it's a very good adaptation of a like weird, just kind of off-putting book. Not
Right.
off-putting, but like unorthodox. It's structured weird. It's just not
Yeah.
like your normal like, oh, let's make this into a movie kind of book.
Right, and I just, unfortunately, they put too much on the kids' shoulders. on his acting, and it's not his fault. It's just I felt like that was a bad decision in general. It was just a disappointment. You know, I was looking for a spectacle, and I ended up with a dud.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's my biggest disappointment, just with the team behind it. But the only movie this year that I've seen that's worse than all the ones that we've mentioned, in my opinion,
Here we go,
is Death Wish. This movie, I can't even get moderately excited for a house with a clock in its walls, just because Eli Roth directed it. It's like even if it's like, well, he phoned in Death Wish because he was getting excited for this one to work with Spielberg.
Well, it's no excuse.
No, it's no excuse, and especially when you see a movie like Upgrade come out a few months later, where it's like, oh, it's like your basic revenge tale, but they put a little twist in it. They added some style to it, and they played around with the story. Whereas this one was just like, oh, look at these numbers, let's just paint by them. And it's bad. This is like trying to remake Die Hard for action movies, trying to remake Death Wish for revenge movies. It's the same, just stupid and futile gesture. And that's the name of that movie, Stupid and Futile Gesture. Sorry,
Stupid and Futile Gesture. It's not my number one worst. It is a bad movie. Yeah, it was not good, but it also wasn't like glaringly bad.
Disagree.
It's in the skyscraper territory for you, you know?
Yeah, it's
lazy, it's generic, there's no new ideas, and that makes for a bad movie. Yes.
Right.
But
just like Skyscraper. Not offensively bad in any sense, but offensively cliche and just generic.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll get pretty much another rendition with Jennifer Garner coming up later this year, too.
Peppermint,
so.
yeah.
Peppermint just looks like the female Death Wish. So.
Yes, that's all it
She
looks
wears
like.
a hood and everything. So... Whatever.
Buffs.
So that's our good and bad of the 2018 so far. What are your favorites? What are your least favorites of 2018? Leave all your comments down below.
Yeah, be sure to let us know what you guys are looking forward to the rest of the year. And, we'll be back at the end of the year to encapsulate the whole year, see if some of the best from this made our list of the end of the year and some of the worst. We'll see if anything worse than Death Wish comes out this year. But no matter where you are, no matter who you're with,
watch more movies.